1, 2, 3. Sauna. That's the way to test the mic nowadays. So I'm from Finland, as you heard, and you probably hear it from my accent as well. And I made this really big mistake of having the first word in my title as a word that I can't pronounce. So if we can get my slides visible. Do I need to do something? Let's see. Mirroring.
Okay, this is a blessing because I just realized I forgot to tell you that if you have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A after Olavi's talk. And you can send your questions to clipper.co, so cliper.co, and use FF25 code.
All right, now we have the slides. So yeah, the title of my talk, I can't pronounce the first word. Verse something. You can read it from there. As we also heard from Georgios, and we know everybody probably feel it, that working on the IT field is quite draining. Also for our body, but also I think mostly for our mental health as well. I hope this works at some point. Maybe we need to switch the cable. So do you ever feel frustrated and feel like this person on the screen while working on the IT field? And especially, how many of you have to work with JavaScript? How many of you would like to work with JavaScript but are forced? Okay, some people would like to work with JavaScript, but not many people like it. And especially while working with some dependency issues with NPM or debugging some difficult to find bugs, and working with, or having to work with the users who mostly don't know about tech, and they're always stupid. It's always the user's fault. So it actually sometimes makes, at least myself, want to just scream out loud and just shout in the void and move somewhere and start farming. Has anybody thought about starting farming? Yeah, I think it's quite common. Or move somewhere remote location by a lake and just live there. Disconnect completely from the internet and all the devices, and especially the AI, which is probably taking our jobs. So yeah, that's how I feel about tech. And that's why I wanted to just start my chainsaw and go out after work and cut down trees. So yeah, that's what I do when I get frustrated. So hello, my name is Olavi, and I'm the branch manager at Iltametsuri Oy, which is my company. And for the Finns, it's funny because the name means evening lumberjack. So I'm the branch manager at my lumberjack company. And that's one of the funniest things about being self-employed, like running your own business. You can just choose your title yourself. You don't have to get a title. So I'm a freelance full stack developer, and I'm currently in a super lucky situation because I'm a full stack developer. So I love working with the backend stuff and all the AWS and caching and CDNs and performance and backend of the front end, so Next.js and stuff like that, and then all the way to the front end, even performance and accessibility. But the one thing I hate is CSS. And I'm in a super lucky situation because in our team at the moment, we have one person who hates all the other stuff and loves doing CSS. So quite often I'm doing all the, if I'm doing a feature, I'm building everything from APIs and everything so that it works, but then they take care of the CSS. So I'm super lucky. So I'm a part-time lumberjack as well. So at the moment, I work 3 days a week as a consultant developer, and then 2 days a week, plus sometimes weekends and evenings as a lumberjack. I'll tell a bit more about that soon. And I started my own business in 2019. And this is literally me. So on the left side, you can see a picture of me when I'm working as a developer, debugging some weird issues and like scratching my head and looking tired. But then on the other side, you can see me working in the trees. So with the trees, and it's kind of like almost like therapy to me. And you can see some videos here about like how I climb trees and like also post content on TikTok just for fun. I got something like 6.5 million views on one of the videos. Not this one, even though I think this one would have deserved more views. But the algorithm, you never know how it works. And a small disclaimer here. I'm not at all a perfect example of work-life balance and the stuff I'm talking about here. But I'm just gonna tell my story. And starting from 2017, or actually starting 2015, I started as a summer employee at Futures, which is a Finnish consultancy here in Helsinki, or like the headquarters is here in Helsinki, or we are in Espoo now, but anyways. And then since 2017, I stayed there full time, and also graduated while working at Futures in 2018 after studying here in Aalto University for 7 years. So it was nice to get it done as well. Yeah, and then I started my side hustle, mostly as a joke. Just, yeah, it was a joke. And then it grew later. Then the corona happened, and so it was 2020, and we were super busy at work. So I started working way too much. So then back then I still was an employee, and I would work like 5 long days a week, and like then after a work day, after sitting on my computer at home for like 10 to 12 hours, then I would move to my couch and watch TV or play with my phone for the rest of the night, and then just go home to sleep. So actually, for me, it was really a blessing to get more gigs for my tree cutting gigs. So in 2020, because I had just started the company, so then I started slowly getting more gigs. At first, it was like just for friends and family, and it was difficult first to get actual paying customers, but then I started slowly getting more and more customers. And then by the end of 2020, or in the autumn after a large project, and I was probably quite close to getting burnout, but luckily I didn't get, so that was good. So then I switched to working just 4 days a week, like working just 4 days a week, plus then working on the tree cutting gigs the rest of the week almost. And then ended up jumping into full-time entrepreneurship in 2021. So then I switched to being a freelancer like a developer for 4 days a week, and then later on switched to 3 days a week. That's like how it started, and then I want to tell something I've learned about all of this stuff. So the first thing I've learned is that running your own business, it's actually quite fun and interesting, but it's not easy. Like, it depends what kind of business you run. If you just work on the IT field and you're like just a freelancer, you get a long-term project. And basically, as we have this discussion in Finland ongoing, that are you really an entrepreneur if you just work in like freelancer and you have a long-term project? So yeah, But when you actually have to talk with the customers and sell your services and send quotes and stuff like that. One thing that's I think is important is to focus on your core business. Focus on what you can do. What's the main source of revenue, and then just outsource everything else, like accounting, and also in the tree business, I outsource everything that I don't want to do myself, such as like taking out the branches. So I just like pile them up in a pile, and then someone who has a truck for that, they just come and pick them up, and taking care of the stumps, grinding them. I don't want to do that myself. So I think that's really nice, because then I can focus on my core business, and I would probably do that as well if I would start a actual like business inside IT. Now I'm just selling my hours, so it's a bit different. And I would argue that there's no competition, or like, of course there's competition, but I don't want to see anybody as my competitor in a negative way. I want to see them as like potential cooperators. So I'm trying to gather this like huge network of companies and cooperate with them, and then because of that, I can, even though I'm a like one-person company, I can do larger projects and gigs. And it almost comes without saying that as an entrepreneur, you have a lot more freedom than as an employee. So that's like one of the biggest things I love about this, being like full-time entrepreneur, because then there's nobody who can tell me that, okay, you have now 30 days of holiday this summer and stuff like that. So I had a 5 weeks vacation in Australia just now during the Christmas. But then again, for my summer vacation this year, I might have a bit shorter, because as a business owner, I just check the company account balance and decide based on that how much vacation I want to have. And of course, it comes to your project and customer. So I'm super happy with my customer now. It's super flexible, and we have stuff to do, but not too much stress there. And it takes some time to build a good customer base. So I see it now, because now I have been running the business for soon 6 years. So now it starts getting better. Like I get returning customers from even back in like 2020 or 21, and that's super nice, because the returning customers are the best customers you want to have, because then it's most probably, if they contact you again, they will accept your next quote as well. Yeah, and then some more lessons learned. One of them being that you can actually get rid of the fear of heights. So even though I started climbing trees and working in the lift, taking down huge trees, I had a quite horrible fear of heights. But then after a while, after maybe a couple of years, I realized at some point that, okay, I don't, when I'm climbing up a tree, I don't fear that I will die anymore. So that's a nice thing, because actually in the beginning I wouldn't sleep horribly before a gig, because I was like scared of death, and like I would see nightmares about falling down from the tree. But nowadays it's better. Marketing is quite easy to get started with, and because my area of business with the tree cutting is quite a small niche, so it was really easy to get started with Google Ads, for example. It was quite easy to get some contacts from there with a really small budget. I think I started with something like €2 a day and still got some value out of it. But then again, marketing, it's an easy way to waste money. You can like literally spend thousands of euros in Google Ads or Facebook ads or wherever if you just check the recommendations, because of course Google Ads and Meta Ads, they always recommend you that, okay, increase this budget so that you will get more clicks and more contacts. So I ended up spending a bit too much on marketing. So now I've slowed that down a bit. Yeah, and one thing that I've learned is that a good balance between like working mentally with development and then physical work with trees, it actually gives me energy. And also recently this year I started playing more hockey. So this winter I played like 2 to 3 times a week hockey. And previously I thought, okay, I was always so tired I couldn't go play hockey in the evenings. But then when I started going there, actually, I realized that it actually gives me more energy, because when you do physical activity, then you maybe sleep better and recover from sitting at your desk. And one thing I've learned about myself, which is kind of weird, is that I love doing sales. So going somewhere, talking with the people, trying to sell them tree cutting, and then always trying to upsell, sell more services, and it's actually fun and interesting. And yeah, some similarities between like working with trees and in development, which like they're completely different fields, and like one is physical work and one is sitting at your desk. But there are similar challenges in both fields. One of them being communication. I think in dev projects, it's like one of the most important skill to have, good communication, and one of the most important things to actually focus on is communication with the team, with the customers, with everything around the project. And it's the same in tree cutting. I need to be contacting the people and agreeing on schedule and agreeing with my contractors on the dates and stuff like that. So communication is crucial. And one thing that annoys me a lot is that sometimes the customers don't know what they want. And this happens quite often in the IT field, but also in the tree business. So it's annoying to go somewhere and then look at the trees, and then they haven't decided which trees they want to take down, and they start arguing. The wife and husband start arguing about it, and yeah, I don't want to be there. But it's also quite often in the IT projects that the customer doesn't know what they want, or they don't know what they need. So then you have to help them. And estimation is super hard. How many of you have to like all the time do estimations for stuff you work on? Oh, I'm sorry for you. It's a waste of time, and it's difficult. You will never get it right. But in the tree business, I always try to give a fixed price, so then I have the risk. So I'm starting to learn it, but there's always so much uncertainty, and it's super difficult. So sometimes I just work on an hourly rate for the customers as well in tree business, but it's not that profitable. So it's best to get a fixed price that is like, and then if you're lucky, it's your estimation is okay. And teamwork is essential, and it's important both in tree cutting and in development, and nobody should do anything alone, I think, and especially in tree work, because you can die. So I normally don't do anything alone. I always have somebody with me, and most of the times we have a bigger team on a gig. There's some more similarities. One is that the feeling of success when you successfully launch something. So that's the best, I think, the best feeling when you have been building something for, let's say, a year, and then you finally switch the DNS and you launch something to the public. And then if everything works, that's the nice feeling. But most often you have some bugs, and then you fix those quickly, and then you continue having it in production. It's super nice feeling. And then when you start seeing the numbers go up and get some feedback from the users and some positive feedback as well, that's a really nice feeling. But also in tree business, when you climb up a tree and then you cut down the top and then you launch it down and it lands exactly where you wanted it to land, that's the best feeling as well. And then sometimes you're like super nervous about taking down a tree, and the best feeling is that quite often the customer is actually nervous. I'm not nervous. I know what I'm doing, but the customer doesn't dare to watch. And then when I cut down the tree and it lands exactly where I wanted, that's a really nice feeling. And I think in both fields you need to stay up to date and always learn more, especially now in like development because of all the AI development. It's, if you think about it, back a couple of years back or something, it's crazy what has happened now in the past years and how everything has been changed. Basically, we don't maybe see the change that much yet. At least for me, it has mostly changed how I write code. So basically, I don't write code anymore that much. I of course read code and fix it, but like it has changed a lot. So you need to stay up to date, and this is one of the reasons. Even though I would love to maybe take like a break from the dev world and just do tree cutting for maybe like 6 months, but I don't know if I want to do it, because then I would maybe fall out of the wave. So it's important to stay up to date and learn all the time more. And you can learn more by observing what the others do. Especially in tree business, I'm always like watching what the others do who are more experienced than me, and they quite often like to tell their tricks and tips to me. So that's super nice, and that's how I actually learned how to climb trees. I never got an education on it, because you could go to this arborist school, and it would take like 2 years, and then you would learn there how to take care of trees and climb trees. But I don't want to spend 2 years on a school, because I can just do it by learning from others. And then it's important to learn to do it safely. Yeah, so that's almost it. So my conclusions and my recommendations is for you, everybody, is to try out something else on the side of your work, basically. So it's a really nice idea to just test out something like I did. I just started the company. You don't necessarily need to start a company, but just try it out. And then if something works, then focus on it, or like invest on it. And it's nice to have a bit of variety, not just working 5 days a week on your desk. And being an entrepreneur, it's quite interesting. I love it, but it's not super easy. And yeah, you can get some energy by balancing physical and mental work. At least that's what I experience. But it doesn't need to be work. You can, of course, do some exercise and sports and stuff like that. And yeah, don't forget to sleep and exercise well. Of course, that's super important. And that's something I also need to focus more on, like doing the exercises. I'm going to actually run Helsinki half marathon this year, but I haven't been running that much, so I need to start exercising for that. And not to mention a healthy diet, which, as you can see, I'm not so good at actually, but yeah, that's important as well. You can follow me if you are interested in my tree cutting work and or other work. So in Twitter, I mostly tweet about tech-related stuff, and occasionally in Finnish, but I try to keep that in mind that my audience is mostly international. And then you can follow my company on TikTok, YouTube, and all the platforms. and there I post some funny videos and pictures from my gigs. Then my company website, which is designed by me, so it's ugly, but it works. It's a super high performance website. It's just HTML files. That's the fastest you can go do. It's HTML and one CSS file, and it used to be no CSS file, just inline CSS, but then I wanted to export that into a file. And then also my blog, which is quite interactive. I should probably start blogging more, but that's also a static website. So I love like fiddling around with performance and building as fast websites as I can. But then in the reality, in the real world projects, you always have these like analytics and ads and stuff like that ruin everything. So that's annoying. But yeah, thanks.